Thank you for choosing wisdom of the Dharma. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new update. Your support helps us keep sharing powerful, life-changing wisdom with the world. And don't forget to drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's grow and learn together. Part 1. The silent leak that drains your wealth. Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, money just doesn't stick? Like your effort is real, your goals are clear, but your bank account never reflects it? You're not alone, and you're not imagining things. While most people chase better income or smarter investments, those who truly understand wealth, people who keep it, grow it, and pass it down, know something different. They know that prosperity doesn't begin with money. It begins with energy. And more specifically, how that energy flows, or leaks, inside your home. At first glance, this might sound mystical. But think about it. Your home is where you rest, reset, and rebuild. It's where you think, make decisions, and wake up to face the world. It's the container for your habits, thoughts, and emotions. And if that container has cracks, places where energy rushes out, grows stale, or turns chaotic, it's no wonder your wealth doesn't feel secure. Wealthy people don't always talk about this. But many of them quietly live by it. They understand that holding on to wealth is not about hoarding, it's about structure, flow, intention. And here's the truth few talk about. Some homes, by design or neglect, are actually pushing wealth away. This happens silently. A back door lined up directly with the front creates a stream where energy enters and leaves instantly. A home flooded with sharp sunlight from the west every afternoon can slowly shift moods from calm to agitated. Wide open layouts may look luxurious, but they often scatter chi, making it hard for any form of abundance to settle. In traditional Feng Shui, and in Buddhist awareness teachings, this energy isn't just symbolic. It's considered the foundation for real-life outcomes. Just like stagnant water breeds disease, stagnant or leaking energy breeds confusion, fatigue, and loss. Now here's the good news. Once you become aware of this silent leak, you can fix it. You can transform your home into a space that holds energy, gently, purposefully, so that wealth has a reason to stay. In this video, we'll uncover one of the biggest yet least understood Feng Shui truths, the western side of your home. You'll learn why it matters, how to recognize subtle design traps that wealthy people avoid, and how to make powerful adjustments, even if you live in a rented apartment or can't renovate. But more than that, we'll reflect on a deeper teaching. That energy is a mirror. When we care for our space, we are learning to care for ourselves. And from that care, all good things, including money, begin to grow. So before we begin, take a moment. Leave a comment below. I protect my energy, and I welcome abundance. That small act might just be your first step toward a more prosperous life, starting not with your income, but with your awareness. Let's begin. Part 2. Understanding the West, from sunset to energy sinkhole. To understand why some homes quietly lose wealth no matter how hard the people inside them try, we have to begin with a specific direction, the West. Most people see the West as just another point on a compass. But in the language of energy, especially in ancient Feng Shui and Buddhist cosmology, the West is anything but neutral. It's the place of endings, of fading light, of the transition between movement and stillness. And if not treated with respect, it can become a leak so deep that it drains not only wealth but clarity, vitality, and peace of mind. Let's start with symbolism. The sun sets in the west. That's something we all know. But what we don't often consider is what that sunset represents energetically. It marks the end of the yang cycle, of light, of activity, of growth. In its place comes yin, dark, quiet, descending. That's not inherently negative. Every cycle needs rest. But in a home, especially a home unprotected on its western side, that same descending force can become too strong. In Buddhist philosophy, we are taught to notice the middle path between extremes. Too much light blinds. Too much darkness suffocates. Energy must be balanced, like breath, rising and falling, expanding and contracting. But the modern world often ignores this wisdom. Homes today are designed for image, not balance. Western-facing windows are prized for sunset views. But few realize that those very windows might be welcoming in not just beauty, but loss. In Feng Shui, the West corresponds to the metal element, associated with discipline, containment, precision, and value. It's powerful, but also brittle. If balanced well, this area brings stability. If overwhelmed, say, by intense light, dry heat, or exposure, it cracks, and energy slips through. Now, think of your home as a living body. Just as your lungs have both capacity and rhythm, your house has places that breathe in and out. The front door is often seen as the mouth, where energy enters. The center is the heart. The corners are organs. And the west? The west is like the exhale before sleep. If it's left wide open, you lose more than just light. You lose retention. Have you ever walked into a home in the late afternoon and felt tense, dry, even irritated without knowing why? That's not just the temperature. It's the energy quality. Constant exposure to declining sunlight creates what some Feng Shui masters call soft killing qi, a subtle but persistent force that exhausts both people and places over time. And here's what's truly striking. Many ultra-wealthy families, especially those who sustain wealth over generations, design their homes to be sealed or fortified on the western side. Not out of superstition, but because they've learned through experience that what you don't protect will eventually leave. You'll rarely find a billionaire's estate with a wide glass wall facing west. If it exists, it's shaded, buffered, or carefully reinforced with earthy, absorbing materials. They don't talk about it. They just build it that way. Compare that to many middle-income homes or rentals, where the western side is often open, hot, overexposed, or treated like an afterthought. Curtains? Too thin. Walls? Too bare. Energy? Rushing out. And yet, these same homes are where people often say, "We never seem to get ahead. We work all day, but it's like the money disappears. Our kids can't concentrate. We always feel tired." They don't know the cause. But the cause is right there, glowing gold and red every evening, pouring in like fire. To be clear, the West isn't bad. It's simply transitional. It's the part of the day, and the space, that asks us to slow down, protect what we have, and prepare for the stillness that allows reflection and growth. But in a home with no filters, no barriers, no energetic valves, this slowing becomes a drain. From a spiritual perspective, the West also carries the idea of letting go. In Buddhist tradition, the Pure Land lies in the Western realm, where souls travel after death. That's why monks often meditate facing west, to prepare for release. But in daily life, when that release happens unconsciously, when your space mirrors surrender without awareness, it becomes stagnation, not peace. In this sense, a wide-open western side is like a subconscious message. Let it all go. Even the things you should protect, like wealth, health, or hope. So if you've never thought about the west side of your home before, now is the time. Stand there at sunset. Feel it. Ask yourself, is this space nurturing? Or is it draining? That one question might open a doorway, not just to a new design, but to a new destiny. Part 3, Direction versus Sector, Why Most People Get Feng Shui Wrong. In Feng Shui, the smallest misunderstanding can throw everything off course, and one of the biggest misunderstandings is this: confusing direction with sector. At first, they seem interchangeable. But in reality, they govern two completely different aspects of energy. And unless you know how to work with both, you may be making changes that never bring results, or worse, that invite the very imbalance you're trying to avoid. Let's clarify. Direction refers to which way something faces. If you stand at your front door and look out, the direction you're looking, east, west, north, south, is the door's facing direction. That direction determines what kind of energy enters the home. For example, east-facing windows bring in morning sunlight, bright, activating yang energy. A west-facing door may invite harsher afternoon energy, as we discussed earlier. Sector, on the other hand, has nothing to do with facing. It refers to where something is located within the blueprint of your home. Imagine placing a compass over your floor plan and dividing it into 8 zones, like slices of a pie. These zones represent the internal energy map. So, your front door could face north, but still be located in the west sector, meaning it carries the internal energy signature of decline and metal. This distinction is crucial. Here's why. Many people arrange their homes based on favorable directions, but ignore the sector entirely. So they may place their bed to face south, associated with fame and passion, but if the bed is located in the northeast sector, connected to stillness and study, the energy may feel contradictory. One flow pulls outward, the other in. The result? Restless sleep. Confused emotions. Mixed signals. This is also why you might hear someone say, "My front door faces a lucky direction, but my finances are still stuck." Often, the problem isn't the direction, it's the sector. To find out which sector a part of your home belongs to, take a printed floor plan, place a compass or compass app to find true north, then divide your space accordingly. Once you know both the direction and the sector of your doors, windows, and important furniture, you can finally begin aligning your home in a way that holds, not leaks, energy. True Feng Shui lives in the balance between the seen and the hidden. Direction is what the world sees. Sector is what the energy feels. Both matter. But when you understand them together, you unlock the true design of your fortune. Part 4. 3 real-life stories. What changed when they fixed their West? We often learn best not through theory, but through story. It's one thing to talk about energy flow, alignment, and architectural mistakes. But when we hear how real people struggled, and then transformed their lives by changing one overlooked part of their home, the lesson lands more deeply. Let me share with you 3 stories. 3 different lives. 3 different homes. All changed by the same quiet force, the western side of the house. Story 1, the architect who built a masterpiece, then watched it fail. David, a 43-year-old architect based in Santa Fe, had recently finished building his dream home. It was modern, elegant, and soaked in desert light, especially from the west-facing wall made almost entirely of glass. At first, it felt amazing. The sunsets were spectacular. But after a few months, things started to unravel. He felt constantly drained. Clients pulled out of long-term contracts. He'd sit down to work and feel scattered, like he couldn't focus. "I thought I was just burned out," he told me. But something felt off in the house itself. I loved how it looked, but it didn't feel right. When we walked through his space, the culprit was clear: the west-facing glass wall. Every afternoon, harsh sunlight blasted the home office and dining area. There was no curtain, no shading, no energetic boundary. The result? What Feng Shui calls a draining portal. David made 3 small but intentional changes. He installed thick slate-colored curtains. He placed a tall bookcase in the corner to anchor the space. And he hung a soft metal wind chime to introduce calming vibration. Within weeks, his clarity returned. 2 dormant projects came back to life. His home didn't just look good, it started to feel strong again. Story 2. The grandmother who knew without reading a book. Linda, 68, had never studied Feng Shui. A retired nurse in rural Ohio, she lived with her daughter and 2 grandchildren. For years, she couldn't shake the feeling that something's leaking from their home, not water, but peace. The family argued often. Money was always tight. The living room, where everyone gathered, was unbearably hot every afternoon, even in winter. The windows? All west-facing. No blinds. No buffer. One day, Linda decided to act on instinct. She bought heavy green curtains. She moved a tall ficus plant in front of the largest window. And she hung an old brass wind chime, something she'd had in storage for years, on the porch outside. She didn't expect anything magical. She just wanted the room to feel calmer. But slowly, things shifted. Her granddaughter started sleeping better. Her daughter landed a part-time job after months of rejection. Meals became less tense. Conversations flowed more easily. Nothing dramatic, but deeply real. When I later explained the Feng Shui principles she had unconsciously followed, Linda laughed. I just did what felt kind. To the room. To us. Story 3. The startup founder who couldn't scale, until he closed a door. Marcus, 35, was a fast-moving tech entrepreneur in Austin. His home doubled as his workspace. His company was growing, but something was always off. Promising hires quit. Zoom meetings were tense. He never quite felt settled. His desk sat in the back room, bright, stylish, and open. The entire wall behind him was west-facing glass. The back door, also facing west, stayed open most days for fresh air. But the room felt chaotic. He found himself easily agitated, unfocused, and strangely tired after just a few hours of work. A Feng Shui audit revealed the pattern. Excessive yang energy from the west was overwhelming his space. The afternoon sun was activating, but not in a healthy way. It was speeding up his nervous system, and draining his mental reserves. Marcus followed a minimalist solution. He placed a tall shelving unit to partially block the window. He installed thick curtains in charcoal gray. He added a dark red floor rug beneath his chair. And each afternoon, he diffused lemongrass oil to ground the space. The result? Within a month, his mood lifted. His team dynamic improved. He closed a long-awaited funding round, something that had stalled for nearly 6 months. It's wild, he told me. I didn't change how I worked. I changed where I worked, and suddenly, everything else clicked. Reflection. What do these 3 people have in common? They live in different states, work in different fields, and have very different beliefs. But they all experienced a turning point when they stopped ignoring the quiet power of the West. They didn't renovate their entire homes. They didn't spend thousands of dollars. They made small, thoughtful shifts, curtains, plants, rugs, wind chimes. And each of them saw real change, not just in their homes, but in their energy, relationships, and success. The takeaway? It's not about superstition. It's about stewardship. When you protect the places where energy leaks, especially the West, you give fortune a reason to stay. So ask yourself, what's happening on the west side of your space? Is it exposed, forgotten, or left wide open? If so, That might be where your energy, and your wealth, is quietly slipping away. And the fix might be simpler than you think. Part 5. Simple solutions to seal your energy, even if you can't renovate. Not everyone can remodel their home. And the truth is, you don't need to. You don't need to knock down walls, build extensions, or redesign your architecture to stop energy from leaking. You just need to understand where energy is escaping, and then apply gentle, thoughtful corrections to slow it down and help it settle. Especially when it comes to the western side of your home. This is where decline energy enters naturally. If left unchecked, it becomes a drain on your focus, your health, your mood, and your money. But if cared for properly, the West can become a place of quiet strength and financial stability. Let's walk through 5 simple remedies that work, even in rentals or small apartments. 1. Use heavy curtains in earth tones. The simplest and most effective fix for harsh western sunlight is a set of thick, grounding curtains. Choose calming colors that match the earth or metal element, like charcoal gray, moss green, sandy brown, or slate blue. These shades don't just block sunlight. They anchor the energy. In Feng Shui, color isn't decoration, it's vibration. When you use heavy, still materials in soft tones, you tell the room, it's okay to pause. It's okay to hold. And that stillness becomes the container for wealth. 2. Add tall anchoring objects. Western energy often rushes in too fast. To slow it down, place upright objects near west-facing windows or doors. A tall bookshelf. A standing lamp. A large leafy plant. Why? Because energy in motion behaves like water. When it hits something vertical, it spirals. It softens. It swirls instead of escaping. This gives chi a chance to settle, and settled energy is what wealth needs to grow. Even something as simple as a bamboo divider or a floor lamp can make a difference. The key is placement, near the source of sunlight, not in the middle of the room. 3. Hang a metal wind chime. In Feng Shui, sound is a tool for energy correction. A metal wind chime placed outside a west-facing window or balcony doesn't just make pleasant noise. It activates yang energy, breaks up stagnant qi, and creates a rhythm that prevents energy from becoming too heavy or still. Choose one with a mellow, soothing tone, not too sharp or high-pitched. You're not trying to scare energy away. You're trying to gently guide it into harmony. 4. Use crystals or symbolic objects. Not everyone wants to hang ornaments or change their furniture. But you can still work with subtle energy tools. Try placing a small piece of yellow quartz, citrine, or tiger's eye near a west-facing window. These stones belong to the earth element and help absorb heat, ground energy, and create a sense of containment. If you prefer symbols, a 3-legged toad holding a coin, or a string of traditional Chinese coins, can be placed discreetly on a shelf or table. These objects don't just attract money, they help stabilize the energy field so that abundance has a reason to stay. 5. Add invisible enhancements. If you don't want visible Feng Shui cures, try simple sensory layers. Place a thick, warm-colored rug near the entryway to the western area. Lay a clean red cloth beneath your safe or inside a drawer where you keep important papers. Diffuse natural essential oils like sandalwood, lemongrass, or cedar in the afternoon hours. These invisible shifts won't call attention, but they'll reshape how the space feels. And in energy work, how a space feels is how it performs. Final thought. You don't need a brand new home to create a brand new energy field. You just need awareness. Start small. Shift gently. When the Western energy in your space is treated with care, not ignored or rushed, you'll notice the difference. Your home will feel calmer. Your mind will clear. And opportunities that used to slip away might begin to stick. Wealth isn't just about how much comes in. It's about how much you can hold. And the first step in holding anything, money, peace, or purpose, is to protect the space that holds you. Part 6. The Inner Feng Shui. Your mind is the real source of wealth. We've spent a lot of time talking about the structure of your home, windows, directions, curtains, and energy flow. But now it's time to talk about the structure within you. Because even the most perfectly designed house will not create wealth if the person living in it is filled with chaos. True Feng Shui isn't just about your furniture. It's about your frequency. The ancient teachings, whether from Buddhist mindfulness or traditional Feng Shui, are clear on one thing. Your external space reflects your internal state. A cluttered home usually belongs to a cluttered mind. A home with blocked corners often mirrors blocked emotions. And a home that leaks energy? It often reveals a person who doesn't know how to say no, hold boundaries, or protect what truly matters. Wealth begins in the mind, not as a thought, but as a vibration. You may already know this from experience. When you feel grounded, calm, and confident, everything flows more easily. You speak more clearly. You attract better people. You make sharper decisions. That's not magic. That's alignment. On the other hand, when you're scattered, anxious, or operating from fear, your energy becomes thin, just like qi in an overexposed western window. Even when opportunity knocks, you're too depleted to answer. This is why many truly wealthy people, those who sustain success over time, develop inner practices. They meditate. They reflect. They take care of their thoughts the same way they care for their finances. It's not about superstition. It's about discipline of attention. And that brings us back to your home. When you treat your living space with awareness, it trains your mind to do the same. When you slow down energy in the West, you're also practicing the art of holding back, grounding, and honoring the still point in your own life. Every object you move with mindfulness becomes a mirror of the choices you make inside. Every curtain you hang, every item you remove, every soft tone you introduce, these are all forms of energetic self-respect. And from that respect, wealth grows. Because prosperity doesn't just flow to those who chase it. It flows to those who are ready to receive it, and strong enough to hold it. Your home doesn't need to be perfect. But your presence inside it must be. That's the real Feng Shui. And it always starts within. Part 7. Protecting wealth is protecting awareness. By now, you've seen how small shifts, curtains, colors, crystals, can help seal the energy in your home, especially in the West. But let's take one final step back and ask the deeper question, what are we really protecting? We're not just protecting a breeze, or sunlight, or temperature. We're protecting awareness. Because behind every energy leak is an attention leak. It might show up as a forgotten west-facing window left bare for years. Or a habit of rushing through life without noticing how your home feels. Or an internal belief that you don't need to protect your space because it's just a house. But your house isn't just a structure. It's a mirror. And when you start to care for the unseen, where energy moves, where it rests, where it escapes, you also begin to care for the unseen in yourself. Your habits, your choices, your focus, your emotional space. Wealthy people understand this more than anyone. Not just because they have resources, but because they guard the flow of what matters. They don't let energy scatter. They don't leave things exposed by accident. They don't tolerate noise, clutter, or chaos, not because they're perfectionists, but because they understand how valuable stillness really is. It's the same principle you see in nature. A farmer builds dikes to hold water. A sculptor controls the light to reveal form. A monk closes the door to preserve silence. In every case, the outer environment is arranged to support an inner experience. And that's the lesson. Wealth is not just a thing you acquire, it's an experience you sustain. And to sustain it, you have to protect its environment. That's why something as simple as fixing your western window is more than decoration. It's a declaration. It says, I'm paying attention. I'm not letting the things that nourish me slip away unnoticed. It's a practice of intention. A spiritual form of budgeting. You budget your time. You track your spending. But do you protect your space? If not, that's where you start. Because no amount of affirmation or ambition will hold if your energy keeps leaking through your walls, your routines, or your unconscious habits. This is the essence of mindful living. It's not about being strict. It's about being present. So as we close this journey, ask yourself, where am I losing energy every day, physically or emotionally? What small shift could help me contain, nourish, or refocus it? How can I turn my home into a space that holds me, not just my things? Because the one who protects their space is also the one who protects their path. And on that path, real wealth is no longer something you chase. It's something you become. If today's message resonated with you, take one simple step. Leave a comment below with the words, I protect my space, and my space protects me. Let that be your quiet promise, to yourself and to your future. And if you found value in this video, please give it a like, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Wisdom of the Dharma for more teachings that blend ancient insight with practical change. Your journey toward mindful wealth begins right where you are, one shift, one breath, one space at a time.